I'm going to talk today about midlife crisis and menopause. Women, as they age, we're just animals, and I want you to keep that in mind from the very beginning. We are just animals, and we have instincts. We do, whether you like it or not. From a biological standpoint, the average age of menopause is 50, and a lot of younger people just think to themselves, oh, well, yeah, that's when I stop having a period. There's a lot more to it than that. Your female hormones drop drastically, and in the process of dropping, they don't gradually. They're all over the place, and that causes a woman to physiologically change. They're not the same person at 50 as they are at 55. They change. They physiologically change, which means that their their mood changes, their desires change, their interest in sex changes. And you can give me the unicorn. Oh, I know this woman that's screwed like a freaking rabbit after she stopped bleeding. The exception doesn't make the rule. So women change emotionally. They change their desires and everything. They substantially drop. Their odor changes, their pH changes, the vagina changes drastically. They can start having painful intercourse. They can bleed during intercourse, which is a part of the pain. And their desire goes way down, their libido. Compared to their younger self, they're not as sexually appealing. They're in their 40s even. They're recognizing that they're losing their youthful beauty, which for them is a crisis. So their man might become less interested, or he might be showing interest in other women, younger women. So that's a crisis for them. They don't want to lose their man. Or the other thing I've seen with women is they start going through these changes, and they blame the man. They start finding faults, they nitpick, they argue, but they basically blame the man, which is kind of typical for women anyways. It's always the man's fault. So women are going through these changes, and it's real easy to blame the man. And I'm in my 50s now, I have seen a lot of my peers, some really good men by anybody's standards, have their wives divorce them. And I mean, they went through counseling, they did whatever their wives wanted to, and really what it boiled down to is the wife just, I've seen it before. I mean, the wife finds fault in the guy. No matter what he does, he's wrong, and they divorce. In some cases, not very often, but in some cases, I've seen these women go out and find another man that they get along with after they stabilize. That's possible, but I go to a local bar. We play poker. That's just tournament poker, and I call it Menopause Manor. I don't. It's unbelievable how many middle-aged women, menopausal women, are getting divorced. So I keep running into these women. They think they can do better, and I just I told her, I says, you're 49 years old. You're not your 20-year-old self anymore. I told her, you need to go back to your man. I see this over and over. I'm in that age group. I'm around people like this. It's ridiculous. These women, it's the F around find out. These women think they're going to find a better man in their late 40s and 50s. They think they're all that. And there's very few fairy tale endings to this. These women get ran through by guys that don't really care about them, and they got all these high standards. And what guy in that age group that's single is going to meet your high standards? Most of these guys, they have been dumped by women like you in that age group who thought they could do better. And they're just out for a piece of tail. And really, you think you're going to get a good man? Let me tell you something. a good man can attract a younger woman. You can't compete. Go back to your husbands. Men in midlife crisis. So I listen to a lot of psychobabble. People have all these reasons for why, psychologically, why men have affairs and go for younger women and all that stuff, and they call it a midlife crisis. So we are animals. We're hardwired. We have instincts, whether you like it or not. And men, by nature, we all crave multiple women. That's just the way it is. Now, why most men don't is another story. Just like in nature, the alphas get all the women. I mean, we call them players or whatever, but it's the same thing with men. Some men are just more desirable, and because they're more desirable, women pursue them. And some guys take the opportunity, some guys don't. So how it applies to midlife crisis, usually 45 to 55 is when the most affairs occur. Hello, menopause. We've ran through, by 50, somewhere around 50, you went through your first batch of children. Your wife biologically is not fertile, and there are a lot of cues from nature telling you that she's closed for business. Hey, we still work, and we crave younger women. Why? Because they're fertile. They provide us what we desire, and that is just nature. And all these psychologists and these goofballs with all the psychobabble trying to there's idealists and realists, and really these people with all the psychobabble and all this shaming and blaming and all this stuff, they're ignoring the animal biological function part of humanity. We are just animals. You can't put us through a bunch of counseling and drive that out of us. It just doesn't work. So really, that's what it boils down to. And part of it too is, men tend to try and get back in shape. Makes sense. They're trying to attract a younger woman. And they do recognize, hey, I'm getting old, whatever. The reality sets in, whoa, I'm going to die. But that's really a side issue to why men get in shape, or why men, they do things that are going to attract a younger woman, fast cars. But part of the fast cars too is we're finally in a place in life we can afford to do the things that we always wanted to do when we were younger, but we couldn't. And unlike women in their 50s, men have options because we're established. Women naturally go after older men. It's just natural. And whenever you hear somebody criticize a man with a younger woman, they always criticize the man, not the woman, which tells you a whole lot. Women know they can't compete with older women know they can't compete with younger women. They know this, and so they shame the man. Yeah, it's just biology, people. I think we'd be better off if we would just accept reality. And if you're going to do something like that, men, be open about it. Don't lie. State your intentions and let the chips fall where they are going to fall.